Okay, welcome into the Sports Renegades here on SportstownChicago.com. I'm Ryan Stuprich.
And I'm Ryan Risky.
And today we're going to start off the show talking about the Cubs as they're really rolling right now. And they just came off of a pretty good road trip, a tough road trip. And now, since they've been home against the Pirates, they're going for a sweep tonight. So it's going to be pretty exciting.
Right, and that road trip did end on a sour note with Baez throwing that ball to second base in the 8th inning against the Dodgers, allowing the only run of the game to score on a fielder's choice in a 1-0 loss. However, the Bats woke up in the series against the Pirates. I mean, you had the clutch home run from Soler in the bottom of the 9th inning off of Tony Watson. And then the Cubs would find a way to win that game in extra innings.
Yeah, that game on Monday was so exciting, the way that they came back, because Arrieta, he pitched well early, he really did, and then it sort of fell apart. A lot of that had to do with the umpire, but most of that just had to do with him. I think he was just tired, towards the end of his stint there on Monday.
Yeah, I don't know what was going on. It might have been when I turned it on. The moment I turned that game on, the first pitch was that home run to Josh Bell.
Oh.
That hit the video board in left field.
Yeah.
And I was just like, oh, man. Because I don't think he had allowed a hit to that point.
No, I don't believe he did. Just the way that they came back, Wilson Contreras with the clutch 2-run homer in the 8th inning, and then
Neftali Feliz, Soler ties it in the 9th inning.
Yeah, it was great, and then they just kept battling back.
It's crazy that they were able to battle back like that, considering Baez was thrown out at home plate twice.
I know.
In extra innings.
And that first one was certainly questionable.
Yeah, it was probably just one of whatever the call on the field was going to stand. And then the Pirates score, what was it, in like the 13th inning? 14th inning?
Yeah.
And then the Cubs go and score 2 in the bottom half. And it was one on when Miguel Montero won the lefty-lefty battle with the pinch hit RBI single.
That was pretty exciting. I was waiting for like a walk-off grand slam or something at that point, because that would have been even more exciting. But, the Cubs play tonight. They're getting underway shortly, and it's going to be Jason Hamill and the final I forget who's pitching for Pittsburgh, but Jason Hamill is going to have a chance to redeem himself. He's much better at home. Ryan Vogelsong
for the Pirates.
He's been a has-been, I guess. I don't know how his numbers are this year, but
3-3 record, 3.02 ERA, 39 strikeouts, 21 walks. He did miss a lot of time because he was hit in the face with a pitch, I believe.
Yeah, I vaguely remember that.
I forgot who hit him, except he was really upset that he never heard like an apology from that guy.
Right.
Jason Hamill, meanwhile, comes in at 13-7, 3.21 ERA, 116 strikeouts, 44 walks. And that is in 140 innings pitched.
Yeah, we know his last 2 starts have been bad.
Horrendous, his last 2 starts.
And so he is a better home pitcher. We saw him pitch well on August 16th. So hopefully he can get back to being a good Wrigley Field pitcher. And, he has a great opportunity here, because if he struggles again, it's pretty much solidified that come playoff time he would be the long reliever guy in the playoffs and not in the rotation.
Well, if he keeps pitching like this, I don't know if they could put him on the roster.
Well, that's a good point, too.
You'd probably just leave the long relief to Cahill and Mike Montgomery, because you'd like to assume John Lackey will be ready by the time the playoffs come to be the 4th starter.
Yeah, I think John Lackey's going to pitch Sunday, is last I heard. I believe he's pitching Sunday, so the rotation will be moved back a day after that.
All right, not bad, because I know they moved Hamill up to today, and then Montgomery's pitching tomorrow, except, come playoff time, you're really thinking that it might end up being Lackey that got bumped from the rotation, because Hamill is pitching so well, and obviously this is kind of like right at the way we were talking at the Cub game on August 16th, his last really good outing, when he had lowered his ERA to 2.75, and then he's had 2 bad outings in a row, and you could tell on Sunday Joe Maddon clearly had no confidence in him in that game and saw that he didn't have it. And you kind of hope that this isn't the start of second half Hamill again.
Yeah, if it is, at least we got like another month out of him than we did last year.
I think they got another 2 months out of him.
Yeah, seriously. So, it'll be interesting to see what they do. The other big story today, before we go back to sort of what the playoffs is going to look like with the rotations, the other big story today is Tommy La Stella is back with the team. He's batting 7th tonight, playing second base, so Zobrist is getting 2 days off now in a row. So it'll be sort of interesting to see him back. He pretty much deserves a spot on this team. I don't know about the postseason, but he definitely deserves a spot on this team right now. He's much better than Coughlin was.
Probably come down to him or Coughlin. I mean, La Stella was hitting really well before he was unfortunately sent down.
Yeah, and obviously it had to do with the options and everything. So, it was just a matter of fact. And, of course, I mean, he didn't handle it well, obviously, and we've talked about that before.
And he said that he was thinking about retiring. And, Jake Arrieta said he contemplated retiring back with the Orioles when he kept getting shuffled between AAA and the major leagues. He said, I believe he said that today, when La Stella came back because he was contemplating retiring. Then obviously Arrieta got traded and turned his career around.
Yeah, I mean, that was just a great story all around. And Tommy La Stella, I mean, we'll see how he does today. He's not going to be a main starter. He's not a big piece to this team, but he's certainly an important piece when you're coming off the bench in key situations like Matt Caesar and like some of the other guys.
And the thing with La Stella is that he hits fastballs well, and when he's pinch hitting, he's facing relievers that are probably throwing in the high 90s, which are the kind of the guys that he hits better. He hits hard throwers, guys with good fastballs, and that's the kind of guy you want coming off of your bench.
Yeah, true. All right, let's talk about the postseason rotation, as it's almost certain that the Cubs are going to have home field throughout the NLDS and NLCS. So, it's going to be interesting to see what they do. There's lots of opinions, on social media and everything. Who pitches at home, who pitches away for those first games for the NLDS. My opinion, and then you can give yours. My opinion, I think your home pitchers should be Arrieta and Hendricks, and I think you do Lester starting that first game on the road, because if the Cubs win the first two, I think John Lester, he'd be the right guy to pitch in Game 3 on the road to try to get that over with in a 3-game sweep if possible. And then John Lackey would be the fourth pitcher.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. I mean, obviously, Hendricks is going to be pitching at home. He's got like a 1,
he has to.
Something like really close, an ERA really close to 1 at home. And I feel like John Lester, of all the pitchers, is the most suited to play in a very dangerous environment on the road. I feel like he has the most experience, and he pitched very well at St. Louis last year in Game 1 of the NLDS, and then pitched very well in Game 1 of the NLCS last year.
Yeah.
He's pitched very well in both of his road starts. He did not pitch at home. Except then you also have to factor in Arrieta. He threw the shutout against the Pirates. Except It's become clear that this Arrieta is not. I mean, obviously you can't expect Arrieta to be as good as he was last year.
Yeah, and of course that's the other side of the argument is he won a playoff game, a 1-game playoff on the road in Pittsburgh. So why not have him start on the road? But we've seen, especially the last few months, he was good this last month. He had a bad start a few days ago, but he, overall, the month of August was really good for him. The month of July, and not so good, and sort of the end of June wasn't very good. But, obviously he's still very reliable. He's still one of the best pitchers in the National League and all of baseball for that matter. And he's got a big offense behind him. So even if he does struggle, I think he's the right pitcher to pitch at home because the Cubs come back in so many facets, especially at Wrigley Field.
Yes, and I've said this multiple times. Arrieta's stuff is just as unhittable as it was last season.
Right.
He still leads Major League Baseball in batting average against at 185. Second is Max Scherzer at 188. Third then goes to Marco Estrada, which is all the way up at 200. Hendricks is fourth at 205. The stuff is not the problem.
It's
the
the
stuff
walks.
is just as unhittable, and you're correct. It's the walks. His final stat line on Monday, 6 1/3 innings pitched. He allowed 6 runs on 5 hits. When you allow more runs than hits, that means you're walking too many guys and putting too many guys on base.
Yep.
He walked 3 batters and only struck out 3 and threw 91 pitches. Now, granted, he probably should not have gone back out there for that 7th inning. He should have been done.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I don't get, because in that 7th inning, there was an infield hit, a walk, a fielder's choice, Matt Joyce pinch hit, Travis Wood came in, and then that was when he should not have been in to pitch that 7th inning. And then he would have only allowed, I believe, 4 runs because he allowed that 3-run homer to Polanco in the 6th. So then he would have only had 4 runs allowed on 4 hits. I'm sorry, on 5 hits. Except then he still walked the 2 batters. And so, I mean, he doesn't have that strikeout pitch going yet. He hasn't been striking out as many batters as he was last year. The stuff is still as unhittable. The contact isn't there. He's allowed a few more home runs, except he still has the lowest home run rate in Major League Baseball. The lowest batting average against. So guys are having trouble hitting him. It's just he's putting guys on. His arm's getting tired. And then, the hit he'll allow will be with guys in scoring position.
Yeah, it's been just sort of the wrong pitch at the wrong time sort of has been hurting him. I'm going to be seeing him on Saturday against Madison Bumgarner. That's going to be certainly a low-scoring game. I hope it is. Unless it's Bumgarner who's screwing up, then it's okay. But, yeah, hopefully...
That is a prime pitching matchup right there.
Right. Hopefully he'll have a good bounce-back game that game. I think he will. It'll certainly be interesting to see. That'll be the last game for me for the season, probably.
It's unbelievable that Arrieta has already walked 65 batters this season. That's way too many.
It's very un-Arrieta-like, that's for sure.
Last year, he walked 48 the entire season. And remember, that game against the Brewers, when Wilson Contreras caught him, people are saying, oh, well, it's because Contreras caught him. Like, Wilson Contreras was not the reason Jake Arrieta walked 7 batters against the Brewers.
Right. So, I think he'll figure it out. I think he's the right pitcher to pitch at home. However, instead of on the road, you have your 2 true veterans on the road if needed. Depending on who they're going to be playing, they're most certainly going to be playing the wild card winner. So, right now that would be St. Louis at San Francisco, I believe. So whoever wins that game will be going to Wrigley. So the Cubs could face the Cardinals 2 years in a row in the NLDS. How crazy would that be?
Yeah, they're a team you don't want to face. I know Michael Wilbon said some kind of things that people took out of proportion.
Oh, my gosh.
It's like they're a team you don't want to play. They have so much experience that could be what? It's like the Blackhawks if you're another NHL team. You don't want to face them.
True.
You don't want to face the Cardinals, except the Giants are probably even worse to play. They've won 3 World Series in the past 7 seasons.
They've won 3 World Series, and no matter what, for that first game, they would have Johnny Cueto probably. I'd say
they'd have Cueto versus Hendricks probably in Game 1 of the NLDS.
Yeah, so you're starting off against a really good pitcher, and then you'd face Samardzija after that.
It'd be probably Samardzija versus Arrieta. See, that's the thing, because they can't pitch Bumgarner till Game 3. So if you can you need to go up 2-0 because that would probably be Lester and Bumgarner at San Francisco.
Right, and obviously I'd feel more comfortable playing the Cardinals rotation, but the Cardinals do have some clutch hitters. And, again, they're just one of those teams that have a lot of experience in the postseason. Same with the Giants, but the Giants' offense, I'm not sure, is as good as St. Louis's.
No, the Giants' offense is not.
So it'll be interesting to see. We're going to take a break. We'll come back. We're going to talk about the White Sox switching gears, going from happy to sad as they lost on a walk-off sac fly today, in part because obviously Al Garcia doesn't know how to play the outfield. I don't know if you saw that, but we'll talk about that coming up next on